Bellville is not just a name on a map, it is much more than that. It is a story, a long and winding story. This story is about people, it is about nature, and it is about the constant flow of change. Like many old towns, Bellville holds secrets from its deep past. These secrets whisper to us from old stones and winding streets. We must listen carefully to hear them. Its journey through time makes it special. It tells us about ourselves. The true significance of Bellville lies in its remarkable journey. Imagine a tiny seed. That seed was Bellville. Many, many years ago, it started as a small spot, perhaps by a clear, flowing river. From this humble beginning, it grew. It expanded. It saw times of great joy and prosperity. It also endured periods of hardship and sorrow. This is the way of all human settlements. Bellville's story is a human story, a story of survival and growth. The earliest whispers of Bellville paint a picture of a gentle valley. A life-giving river snaked its way through the fertile land. Lush forests and open meadows were abundant. Animals of all kinds roamed freely in this pristine landscape. Then the first humans arrived. They looked upon this valley, they saw the water, the plants, the animals. They saw a promise of a safe place, a place to build a home, a place to start a new life. In this essay, we will embark on an exploration. We will travel back in time. We will try to understand how Bellville began its existence. What were the key events that shaped its destiny? Who were the people that influenced its course? And most importantly, what does the story of Bellville mean for us living today? Let us open our minds and hearts. Let us listen together to the faint but persistent echoes of Bellville's long and fascinating past. Yes. Long, long ago, before Bellville even had a name, people walked this land. These were the very first people. They did not live in houses like we do. They were hunters. They were gatherers. They followed the herds of wild animals for food. They knew which plants were good to eat and which plants could be used for medicine. Their lives were tied closely to the earth. They moved with the seasons. The river was the heart of their world. It was the source of life itself. It gave them fresh water to drink every day. Many kinds of fish swam in its clear currents. These fish provided an important source of food. The land near the river was especially fertile. Plants grew well there. This made it easier to find food. The river was their constant companion. It shaped their daily existence. It was a sacred provider. These first people, these ancient settlers, left very few traces behind. Their shelters were made of branches and animal skins. These things do not last for thousands of years. Sometimes archaeologists find a stone tool they once used, or the dark ashes from a fire they lit long ago. But even without many objects, we know they were the true founders. They were the ones who first chose this land. Their lives were undoubtedly hard, full of challenges, but they were also simple, lived in harmony with nature. They lived together in small, close-knit groups or family units. They shared the food they found. They shared the work that needed to be done. They protected each other from dangers. They had a deep understanding of the rhythms of nature, the rising and setting of the sun, the changing phases of the moon, the cycle of the seasons. This was their world. This was the very first Bellville, a community dependent on nature's bounty. Slowly, over many generations, things began to change for the people of Bellville. Humans are clever, they learn, they adapt. People learned the secrets of growing food. They discovered how to plant seeds and harvest crops. This was a huge change. It meant they did not need to move around so much to find food. They could stay in one place. And so they started to build stronger, more permanent homes. Not just temporary shelters made of leaves and branches. These small, sturdy huts clustered together became a village. Families lived close to one another. This proximity brought new ways of living. They worked together in the fields, planting and harvesting. They shared the tasks of daily life. They also learned to defend their homes and their food stores together. A sense of community, a shared identity was born. This was the beginning of a settled society in the place that would become Bellville. People relied on each other more than ever. They built more than just homes for themselves. As the community grew, they built other structures. Perhaps they cleared a central space for gatherings and markets, or they built a special shrine, a sacred place for their gods or spirits. Beliefs were very important. They helped people understand the world around them, the storms, the sun, life and death. These shared beliefs brought them together. They created common rituals and common purpose. This strengthened their bonds. This early settlement, with its first permanent buildings and shared beliefs, was the tiny seed from which the town of Bellville would eventually grow. It had a simple order. People started to have different roles within the community. Some were better farmers, others skilled hunters or builders. Leaders emerged, people who could guide and make decisions. The long and complex story of organized human life in Bellville truly began here, with these first steps towards a more structured existence. Time continued its relentless march forward. Bellville grew larger and more established, but growth and development often bring new and unforeseen challenges. Bellville was not alone in the world. Other groups of people lived in the surrounding lands. Sometimes these newcomers were friendly. They came to trade or share knowledge, but at other times they were not friendly. They came seeking resources or territory. This led to tension. Bellville undoubtedly saw periods of conflict and unrest. It needed to find ways to protect itself and its people. Perhaps the villagers built a strong wooden palisade or an earthen wall around their settlement. Maybe they trained a group of young men as warriors to defend their homes. These were certainly hard times. People suffered losses and faced fear, but through these struggles they also endured. They learned the importance of unity and defense. They became more resilient. Nature itself also brought its own set of challenges. The river, usually a source of life, could sometimes become a destructive force. Heavy rains might cause it to flood, damaging homes and crops. There were also long periods without rain, leading to drought and famine. Diseases for which they had no cure could spread quickly through the community. Life was often uncertain and precarious. People learned to be resourceful. They developed ways to cope with nature's unpredictable power. Through these tumultuous ages filled with both human-made and natural trials, Bellville changed. It was constantly evolving. It became stronger in some ways, perhaps more organized. It absorbed new ideas and technologies from visitors or even from its enemies. It learned crucial lessons from hardship and adversity. Every significant event, every trial endured, left its indelible mark on the character and the story of the town. Bellville was forged in these fires. Section 5. The Architects of Tomorrow. Influential figures of Old Bellville. In the history of every town, every city, some people stand out from the crowd. They are individuals who make big decisions. They are visionaries who have new ideas. They are leaders who inspire others to act. Bellville, like all human communities, had such influential figures. We may not know all their names today. Their stories might be lost to the mists of time, but their impact was real and lasting. Imagine a wise old elder, perhaps a woman or a man, someone respected by everyone in the community, someone who guided the people with calm and foresight during tough times of famine or conflict. Or picture a brave warrior, strong and courageous, someone who defended the town from attackers, ensuring its survival. The actions and choices of such individuals profoundly shaped Bellville's path. They steered its destiny at critical moments. Perhaps there was a clever inventor or a skilled artisan in Old Bellville, someone who discovered a better way to farm the land, increasing the food supply. Or a craftsperson whose pottery, weaving or metalwork was so beautiful and useful that it made Bellville famous in the region. These people, through their ingenuity and skill, brought progress and prosperity. They improved the quality of life for everyone. They made Bellville a better place to live. These influential individuals were not just powerful or skilled, they often possessed charisma. They inspired others to follow them, to believe in their vision. They helped to create and strengthen the shared story of Bellville. A story of courage, of wisdom, of innovation, and of community spirit. Their legacy lived on, passed down through generations. They were the architects of Bellville's future, laying foundations for what was to come. Section 6. A tapestry unfurled. Cultural and social weavings. Culture is the invisible thread that binds a community together. It is the way people live their lives. It includes their customs, their traditions, their songs, their dances, and their stories. In Bellville, culture grew and developed like a magnificent tree. It started with a single trunk of shared experiences. Over time, it sprouted many diverse branches, each reflecting a different aspect of life in the town. This cultural tapestry was rich and colourful. Daily life in Bellville changed slowly but surely over the many centuries of its existence. Consider what people ate. At first it was wild game and foraged plants. Later it was cultivated grains and domesticated animals. Think about what they wore. Simple animal skins gave way to woven fabrics, or how they celebrated important moments. Births, marriages, harvests, and religious festivals. These customs and practices evolved with new ways blending seamlessly with older traditions. Social structures, the way society was organized, also underwent significant transformations. In the earliest days, the family unit was the most important social group. People lived in small, kin-based communities. Later, as Bellville grew and became more complex, different classes or groups of people might have emerged. Some families became wealthier or more powerful than others. There might have been leaders, priests, merchants, artisans, and farmers. This created a more layered society. Festivals, markets, and public gatherings became increasingly important in the social life of Bellville. These were occasions when people from all walks of life came together. They met to exchange goods, share news and gossip, and participate in communal celebrations. These events strengthened the bonds of community. They reinforced shared values and a sense of belonging. They wove the individual threads of people's lives into a strong social fabric. Section 7. The engine of growth, economic transformations. The economy of a place is all about how people get what they need and want to survive and thrive. In its earliest days, Bellville's economy was very simple. People relied on subsistence activities. This meant farming small plots of land, hunting animals in the nearby forests, fishing in the river. People mostly made things for themselves and their families. There was little surplus and little need for complex trade. Life was about meeting basic needs. Then, gradually, came the development of trade. Bellville might have possessed something special that other communities desired. Perhaps the clay in the riverbanks was perfect for making strong and beautiful pots, or the forests around Bellville provided high-quality timber for building. The people of Bellville learned to produce more of these goods than they needed for themselves. They began to trade these surplus items with neighboring villages and even more distant places. This brought new goods and ideas to Bellville. As trade grew, markets became larger and more organized. They were held regularly, perhaps weekly or monthly. Money, in the form of coins or other agreed-upon items, started to become important for these exchanges. Some people in Bellville specialized in trade and became merchants. Others focused on particular crafts. Blacksmiths shaped metal tools and weapons. Weavers created fabrics. Carpenters built homes and furniture. This specialization made the economy more diverse and more complex. New ways of working and producing goods also appeared over time. Perhaps someone built a watermill by the river. This mill could use the power of the water to grind grain into flour much faster than doing it by hand. Small workshops might have sprung up where artisans worked together. These economic changes generally brought more wealth and prosperity to Bellville. However, they also created new challenges. For instance, the gap between the rich and the poor might have widened. Section 8. The modern pulse Bellville in recent centuries. The world began to change at an ever-increasing pace in more recent centuries. New scientific discoveries, new philosophical ideas, new powerful machines. Bellville, connected to the wider world, felt the impact of these profound changes too. The Industrial Revolution, which began in other lands, eventually arrived in Bellville. Factories, perhaps powered by steam, might have appeared along the riverbanks or on the outskirts of town. This was a new era. Steam engines and later electricity were revolutionary technologies. They transformed how people lived their daily lives and how they worked. Goods could be produced much faster and cheaper in factories. Travel became faster with the advent of trains. Communication also improved dramatically with technologies like the telegraph. Bellville became more connected with the outside world than ever before. News, goods, and people moved more easily in and out of the town. As a result of these changes, the town itself grew bigger. More people were drawn to Bellville from the surrounding countryside. They came seeking work in the new industries and factories. New residential areas were built to house the growing population. Public buildings, reflecting the town's increasing importance, were constructed. These included schools to educate children, hospitals to care for the sick, and a grand town hall for governance. Bellville was transforming into a modern town. However, this rapid modernization also brought its own set of problems. The new factories sometimes polluted the air and the river. Living conditions for many factory workers were often crowded and unsanitary, leading to health issues. The fast pace of change could be unsettling. Bellville had to adapt once again. It had to find solutions to these new kinds of urban and industrial problems. The journey of progress was not always smooth or easy. Section 9, Bellville Today and Beyond, a living legacy. Today, in the year 2025, Bellville is a vibrant, living place. It is not a static museum piece frozen in time. It is a community that proudly carries its long and rich history within its very fabric. You can see this history in the streets. Old buildings, carefully preserved, stand comfortably next to modern structures. Ancient traditions and customs continue to be celebrated, mixing harmoniously with the rhythms and demands of contemporary life. The past and present coexist here. Bellville is a place of collective memory. The stories of the past of triumphs and struggles of ordinary people and influential leaders are important. They are recounted and remembered. These stories help the current residents of Bellville understand who they are as a community. They provide a sense of identity and continuity. Knowing where they came from gives them a foundation as they look towards the future. This connection to history is a source of strength. Like all towns and cities in the modern world, Bellville still faces challenges. How can it continue to grow and develop in a way that is sustainable and wise? How can it protect its precious historical heritage while embracing progress? How can it ensure that it remains a good, fair, and inclusive community for everyone who calls it home? These are big, important questions that the people of Bellville grapple with every day. They require thought and cooperation. The story of Bellville is far from over. It is a story that continues to be written every single day. It is written by every person who lives there, works there, and contributes to its life. Its remarkable journey from a tiny, vulnerable riverside settlement to a bustling modern town is a powerful testament. It speaks to human resilience, our capacity for adaptation, and our enduring hope for a better future. Bellville matters not just to its residents, but as a mirror reflecting our shared human experience.